guys, this is Mike from the Life Junkies, and this is the first of two tactics videos I'm doing for my Steve McClaren set of tactics. The reason for that is the exact game that is talked about in Jonathan Wilson's book is the England loss to Croatia in 2007, and in that game he used two formations. At half-time he swapped from the 4-3-3 to the 4-4-2. So I'm going to show you today the 4-3-3, and I will do the 4-4-2 after, and I will post that next Tuesday. Also, throughout that campaign, he used the 4-4-2 regularly. This was the first and only time, of course, because he got sacked afterwards, that he used the 4-3-3 for England. So it's one thing using that, but the main tactic he uses a 4-4-2. So, but this is a 4-3-3, and this is my main tactic so far. So far we've done okay. We've qualified. We've had some very good results. The 13-0 and the 10-0 will be in the two real standout ones. We've done all right. We've struggled against Turkey. Both of those games were stressful games. Right. Anyway, the tactic. So I've gone with a regular goalkeeper, because this is Scott Carson. This is his second England game when he in this game, and so he was very much a regular goalkeeper. He wasn't someone that's going to be playing the passes, rushing out. He was standard goalkeeper. So we're going for a goalkeeper defend, which is different to either sweeper keeper, goalkeeper Pickford last year. I'm still using Pickford. This is my lineup for the next friendly match. So there's a few lads that I'm giving a bit of extra experience playing international football, and Gunn is one who's come in as third choice keeper for me so far. So looking to get his first cap. So on the right side of midfield was Micah Richards. Again, I see him very much as a fullback support. I was a massive Micah Richards fan back in the early days. It's honestly, I remember watching as a City match, one of his last City matches, where he just come back off a load of injuries, just come back off a long layoff, and something happened and he injured himself again. And you just saw this lad in tears walking off a pitch, and you just felt so sorry for him. Maybe it bothers me a little bit more because I was such a big Micah Richards fan. He's got everything you want. He's fast, big, good in the air. He could cross. He wasn't a stunning crosser, but he could put a ball in, which is why I've gone for fullback support. I never saw him as a real all-out attacking fullback, because he could get back and defend. He could play a second role as a centre back if you needed him to. So yeah, so fullback support for Trent, who is my first choice right back at the moment. Moving on to the left hand, I've got Chigwell currently, who's at the moment my first choice left back. But this is the Wayne Bridge role. So Wayne Bridge, I've been fairly critical of Wayne Bridge on my on the blog I wrote for this, which will be in the description below. Is that the right YouTube word? But I did feel he was very much a poor man's Ashley Cole. He didn't get at the field quite as well as Ashley Cole did, but he did get up the field. He was definitely an aggressive attacking fullback. So I'll go with fullback A with him. If I had decided to go for a wing back, I probably would on wing back support. I don't see him as a wing back attack or anything like that. But yeah, that's the role, which is running past the inside forward, but moving in, because I'm getting ahead of myself. So this was, as a ball playing defender, it was Sol Campbell playing this day and Lescott next to him. Now, in a real match, those two roles would have been swapped, but I wanted to play my ball playing. It's really what I should be doing. It's very much that. So for me at the moment, mainly it's John Stones and Joe Gomez are my main two centre backs. But again, this is a friendly, and I'm trying to give experience to lads. So I've got Rob Holding, who's been great for me playing for Ajax, and Michael Keane, who's still at Everton. I am in 2022, so yeah, 4 years or 3 years in the future. So yeah, Sol Campbell is definitely one of those players that could play a pass, very much like John Terry or Rio Ferdinand of that ilk. Whereas Lescott, I always felt, was always a secondary centre-back. He was always a supporting centre-back. He needed to be feeling great. The way he worked for City, because he was next to Vincent Kompany. As soon as Vincent Kompany wasn't next to him, he started to look shaky and those cracks grew. And this is one of those things, you get very, very few world-class centre-backs. So the trick is to have that one world-class centre-back and then have a very good centre-back next to them. It's not often you're going to get a Vidic and a Ferdinand centre-back partnership. You'll more often get a Terry and a Cahill, where you've got one world-class centre-back and one good centre-back. As soon as Cahill wasn't next to Terry, you were crack show. Doesn't mean he wasn't a good centre-back, he was a good centre-back. But yeah, so I'm doing lots of hand gesticulations and you can't see it, it's cool. In front of him was Gareth Barry. Now Gareth Barry is too aggressive to be an anchor man, but he doesn't play the ball like a deep lying playmaker. So I've gone for a defensive midfielder. So that sort of aggressive nature of Barry. He wasn't overly aggressive, so I'm not going to have him there as a ball-winning midfielder. And yeah, so that's my DM defence. Again, Cork's in the moment. I haven't really narrowed down a DM for myself so far. Cork's not going to be a part of my full-time plans, but he's played well at club level. So at 32, I've given him a chance to win his third cap. So in front of them, the Lampard and Gerrard axis, as I refer to it in my blog. In the blog I mentioned I got a lot of help from FM Pressure regarding these roles and some on the 4-4-2. This is one where we've sort of disagreed slightly, and I've more gone with my gut over what he said. So Dele Alli is in the Gerrard role. I originally had Gerrard as a deep line playmaker on support. The reasoning for this is that Gerrard was in this match, according to Jonathan Wilson's writings, Gerrard was very much the guy running the show for England. Everything comes through him, not Lampard, not anyone else, Gerrard. So Gerrard has to be, in my mind, a playmaker. Now, what James FM Pressure said, in his mind, that Gerrard is far more of a box-to-box type midfielder. Now, I personally always saw Gerrard as more of an advanced playmaker sport, and in fact that's the role I had him as, not a deep line playmaker. I thought about deep line playmaker sport, but I thought that was a bit too defensive for him, so I had an advanced playmaker sport. I always saw him playing for Liverpool in that hole, playing just behind Torres, and sort of dropping a bit and playing the passes off and then getting into the box later. FM Pressure disagreed. He felt Gerrard was getting up and down the pitch, so as sort of a halfway house, I went for the roaming playmaker, which, to be fair, to me supports Wilson's writings far better, because a lot of the time Gerrard was floating out to the flank behind, especially in the second half, but a lot in the first half, into behind the guys here and playing the balls forward. So yeah, for me that makes much more sense. Now across the other side is the Frank Lampard role. This is one where I seem to disagree with everyone. Putting this out here now, I'm a Chelsea fan. I've supported Chelsea for as long as I can remember. About 96 is the first time. Yeah, the first sort of Chelsea that I remember, when I was 7. But people always pigeonhole Frank Lampard as a central midfielder attack. Even I used to play his role as an advanced playmaker attack, mainly because he didn't get as far ahead as the central midfielder attack. They do this because Frank Lampard scored a lot of goals, but Frank Lampard wasn't someone that was always in the box. He uses intelligence of the game to arrive late in the box a lot of the time. He often waits outside the box for the ball to come out to him. Those are things that a central midfielder attack doesn't do. He also, a lot of the time, started counter-attacks from a lot deeper. You see a lot of the balls, he loved that ball from, just right halfway line, straight up to Drogba, who was ahead. If he was a central midfielder for attack, he would have been further forward than that, and he'd be in the box when the ball's being played around here, when he's really around here. For me, Frank Lampard has always been a support role. I've gone for a box-to-box midfielder because the idea is that roaming will allow him to get into the box when he does feel he needs to, because he did. Just not as often as everyone else feels like he did. So that will allow him to get into the box when he feels he needs to. If I really want to emulate Lampard, I need to play with a lot of intelligence there. I've got Declan Rice, who's been a very good player for me. He's playing for Man City now. You know, he hasn't quite got the intelligence I'd want from a Lampard role, but I'm thinking more Declan Rice will probably end up there for me in the next Euros. Moving forward, on the right hand side, because we always go right to left, I have Sean Wright Phillips, who's being played today by Jadon Sancho. I probably ruined that name, but there you go. Sean Wright Phillips, Sean Wright Phillips is never played, but I'm not a massive fan of. One of my favourite thing about Sean Wright Phillips is the fact that we brought him from Man City and then managed to sell him to them for more money, and he flopped there completely after leaving us. He was very much a speed merchant. He would run at defences and scare them with his speed. Didn't have much to back it up after that. He tended to stay wide when he was on the right, and in this game he's on the right. England Croatia's on the right, so that is a winger attack. I feel that was what he did best. On the opposite side is Joe Cole. Now, Joe Cole I always used as an advanced playmaker. That's how I felt his role was, especially for Chelsea. He would get the ball, attack the box, and then play the pass that needs to be. But here, again, in Jonathan Wilson's writing, he didn't have much of a ball, as much as I'd expect a playmaker to have. So what I've gone for instead is an inside forward on attack duties that will mimic the actions of Joe Cole without attracting the ball, and making sure that Gerrard is still the focal point, playing the balls around. And up front we've got very much Peter Crouch. Now, again, Peter Crouch went for a target man support. This is because Jonathan Wilson was writing, because this is what this whole series is based upon. This is it. I've done the one that is all my knowledge. That was Southgate's. Now, from here going backwards, it's all Jonathan Wilson, because the next one is roughly, I think, 94 is the next one, which I will have no memory of. I was 5 years old. I've no memory of at all, let alone the ability to objectively dissect the football that England were playing that day. So I'm going to be referring to Jonathan Wilson a lot. And this one, I should point out, this is one that should be right within my football and wheelhouse. I was 18, 19 at the time. This was in the middle of a period of 3 or so years where I sort of stopped watching. I still kept up with Chelsea, stopped watching England completely. I managed to completely skip out on Steve McClaren's England reign. Simply, I fell out of love. I fell out of love with what Chelsea were doing. I fell out of love with what England were doing after the loss to Portugal, 3-1 loss in the World Cup 2006 was the last England football I watched till quite a while after. So I wouldn't be able to tell you how Steve McClaren's England played at all. So that's why I've hammered to the one that should be in my wheelhouse. I have to refer to Jonathan Wilson all the time. But in his writing, he talks about the fact that Crouch is being played as very much a target man, with long balls being played to him to head down and crosses being whipped in for him. Jonathan Wilson goes on to mention that the reason this didn't work is because we didn't have anyone close enough to him. Cole, Lampard, Gerrard, they couldn't get close enough to him because Lampard's not a centre midfield attack, and thus all the knockdowns were easily defended by the Croatian team. So I had him as a target man support first off. And then this is another one where FM Pressure comes in. Talking to him, he felt that Crouch was actually a far more nuanced player with the ability to pass the ball and to run at defences. He had a bit of speed. He wasn't just Akinfenwa. He could do a bit more than that. So it was decided to go for a deep line forward. And by decided, he very gently led me towards deep line forward attack. And when I still went support, he said, no, attack, be a firmer. But that is the role I've gone for. I love the deep line forward attack. I used it to great effect last year with Cambridge and a multitude of very brilliant strikers. So I'm not unhappy about using that role. It also allows Harry Kane, who's my main striker, to do far more, to use his talents far more, because Kane in this really should be a complete forward. That's what I used him as in the last formation. But a deep line forward attack is great because he can do whatever I need him to. Some things to a less degree, but he can still do everything I need him to do. I mentioned Kane is my regular there. Barnes appears to have been my regular on the left-hand side. He's really developed really nicely. He's fighting for that role with mainly Raheem Sterling and Jesse Lingard. Sancho is my regular winger, and Ali is my regular Roman playmaker. he's been really good in that position. So moving on to the team instructions. We're attacking extremely wide because we're attacking down the flanks. This is basically a custom wing play. I've only changed a few little bits. So we're playing extremely wide to allow our wingers to really spread the pitch. I'm asking players to pass into space because that's where you get the wingers rushing on. I found in a few games that we've struggled to hit the players we need to hit. In that I will change all the approach play. So I'll take off a pass in space. I'll ask us to do slightly less direct passing, and I'll ask us to play a slower tempo. And then I'll watch from there what's going on, and if it's improved, in what way it's improved, and what way it hasn't, and then make any changes from there. Focus plays down the wings because we're wing play and nothing else. I mentioned that my last formation had play for set pieces in. They are overpowered. It's not from what I see. I think they're all right personally, but guys with far better knowledge than me, like FM Pressure again and Kane, Andre, they have said that they're overpowered. So I will always go bow to them, Cleon, Guido, yeah, anyone that's more knowledgeable than I am. So I've taken it off this time, even though I feel England for many years have always played 4 set pieces. They've been a very strong tool in our armoury, but this isn't, as I said in the podcast, if you haven't listened to the podcast, then there will be a link up at the end of this video. But if I don't, I'm not worried about what other people are going to say, because I post this on Slack, I do videos, I do the blog, I will talk about it on my podcast every now and then. I don't play this. I play this for my enjoyment. If I'd stopped if I for a second wasn't enjoying anything I'm doing here, then I'd stop it, because I'm not particularly good at these videos. I don't think my blogs are particularly brilliant. I'm definitely not good at podcasting. I do this because I enjoy doing it and learn new skills. So I don't want to feel like I have won because of taking over a hack in FM. Moving into transition, we're looking to counter it all the time. We're taking long kicks. That's for me. I'll probably at some point put distribute quickly because I like it, but I don't think that's a particular way that England played under Steve McClaren from what I've read. And going here, pressing more urgent is something that I can take off in a match. Again, I'll watch how they go. Quite often I've seen my centre back go off on a long jaunt chasing a striker with a drop deep. So if I see that, straight away that gets taken off. I've also got get stuck in on because I like it. Proper British grit and other such idioms. And lower line engagement, which contradicts with pressing, but the idea is that players will press. The idea is it's an attempt to create pressing trap. The idea that we'll sit back, and as soon as they come too far, then you press. When you hit that point, that's when you press. That's why counter press is off, because I want the press to be. Whereas with the last formation, the last tactic, I wanted the press to be early, and if not, fall back. Now I want it to be right, fall back, and then when they get to a certain point, then press. It's worked alright so far. Yeah, so that is my 4-3-3 Steve McClaren England tactic. I have droned on for far too long now, so if you've enjoyed this, I know I'm begging, but please like, share and subscribe. It helps me. I'm a tiny channel, so I think it's right for me to beg a little bit. And I'll do it now. I will have on one side of the screen will be for my recent FM podcast. I was lucky enough to get Tony, FM Grasshopper, and Mike, according to FM, on, and they carried me through a podcast brilliantly. They're both complete professionals, so cheers guys. And on the other side, I will put up one of my FM videos. I would say at the time, so there'll be another FM video, very possibly my final from the World Cup against Italy. Yeah, that'd be a treat. Is it the World Cup against Italy? Yeah, World Cup 2020 World Cup. Let's go with that. Right, cool. Thanks for watching, guys, and goodbye. Because if I didn't end this awkwardly, it wouldn't be a mic video. Cheers.